briefly if you can. So, all right, good. So I'll invite you to close your eyes with me and just settle into your space. Allow yourself just to melt into that couch, to feel supported. You are structurally supported by that couch, but your spirit team supports you, your angels, your guides, your loved ones. Guide your awareness to your breath, your inhale and your exhale, just breathing in and breathing out. And don't be afraid to let that next inhale be really expansive, really deep, expanding your lungs, filling your belly. And we're structurally expanding, but we are also trying to ignite that light that you are, that soul light that you are inside your spirit. We're expanding the spirit. And then when you exhale, choose something to let go of, something you no longer want to carry around. Just let it go, release. Stay with that flow of breath, and if your mind starts to wander, starts to look for other things to talk about, or just bring it back to the breath. Just say, okay, not right now, we're going to breathe. We're just going to focus on inhale and exhale. That's simple. And as you breathe, I invite in your spirit team, your angels and your guides, and all of those beautiful loved ones that work with you. And as they come in close, I'm going to just stay really quiet as I start to get to understand who they are. So just give me a little bit here, and you can just follow with your breath. Okay, you're welcome to open your eyes if you'd like. I'm actually aware of 2 people, and sometimes I'm aware just initially of a couple people and then more work their way in. I think just 2, there's a possibility that maybe I'm aware of a 3rd here. And I know that the first person that I am bringing through is a female, and I want to say that she comes in on a family connection, and I feel that more than that, I want to put her on mom's side of the family here. So she comes on my right hand side, and I know with her that there is a decline in her health over time. So in other words, she doesn't die suddenly of heart attack. There is something that's ailing her for a period of time. I know that I feel that that there is some expectancy around the timing of her passing, and that just means that people had gathered round, or we had kind of come in and had the chance to say our goodbyes, because she was fading, is the way that
Yes.
it feels. And thank you for the yes, I appreciate that. And I know I've got her in a bedridden state as well in the days just leading up to her passing. I don't know how long she was in that state, but I know that she was in bedridden state for a couple of days at least leading up to her passing. She feels very maternal in connection to you, so that one can be a little bit loose. It can be mom, aunt, or grandma, but I've got that in that line of maternal feeling for you. So and I get a sense of gratitude really to you, because you would understand with this lady in particular that you went to say your goodbyes to her at the end,
Yeah.
Okay. As she gives me the image of holding of hands. And so you went and held her hand. And this is your mom.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, bless your heart. Yeah, she's here. There's Kleenex. And this is where you can just let go. I'm gonna try not to cry with you, but she shows me like you there through the very end, is what she says. Like, you were solid at her side, and you made her feel like, you're safe, Mom, I'm not going to let you go. You know, like, I'm not going to leave you until you leave this world. And she just tells me, like, how much she loves you. She's like, that's my boy, that's my son. And I'm like, I'm so proud of him because of the man that you've become, and just how good of a caregiver you kind of became as well. And she fully puts her trust into you as well, because I feel like you were speaking up for her, like you were advocating for her, you know?
Yes.
And,
Yes.
And she just says, like, that took so much courage and so much bravery, and it probably when you felt like you couldn't, you know, you had that lump in your throat, but you found a way to speak up for her because you love her. And she says, it's like, I don't know what I would have done if not for you, you know. She agrees she went too soon, but she's at peace now, and she really needs you to know that she's well where she is. Her body was not participating it was not supporting her life anymore, and so she tells me, by the time I transitioned out, I had stayed in that body as long as I possibly could. You understand? And that tells me that she did fight. You know, she did try, and I get this sense that that if there were an expectation put on her lifespan, that she beat that a little bit. She just makes me feel like she did fight, and to the very, very last moment. And but by the time it was time to leave this body, she says, I was tired, I was ready.
Yes.
You know, and I know there is a peace. There's like almost a serenity that falls over her in the transition that she goes out, and the way she shows me. So I feel like it should have been peaceful the way that you felt, that the way that you experienced her passing, because I know that I'm not in pain if I'm her, and I know that I must be aptly medicated.
Yes.
Because I'm not feeling any pain. It's like when you've had a couple cocktails, you know. She just is kind of like in Zen mode. So she's grateful for this because she didn't want to go out in pain. She didn't want to be struggling or suffering or gasping for breath. She feels like, thank you for however that came about, you advocating for her and her having some good care because of that. Very grateful. She gives me like you two very close throughout your life. So this wasn't just like, oh, I'll be there for you, Mom, when you're dying. No, you guys were like,
yes,
you know, very attached. You're a grown man, but to her, you're her baby, you know. And there's something about like the two of you kind of against the world. It's sort of the feeling like it's the two of us. We can do anything if we have each other. And I wonder, did she raise you on her own for a while?
She did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because it kind of feels like for a while it's the two of you, and it's you know, it's like we're this pod, two peas in a pod, and as long as we have each other, everything else in the world is okay. So but she says, I raised him up well, I raised him up right, and she is so proud of that. She's so proud of the man that you are. And you actually in your day-to-day life, you're of service to others, correct?
Correct.
Are you a fireman, or are you like in a line of service?
Yes.
Okay, because I keep feeling like you're helping people and that you're really good in like dire situations. I don't know why that feels like that, but so I don't know exactly what you do, but it feels like in that space, like paramedic, fireman, police, but that space.
Yes.
Yeah? Close? Okay. And that's what she's saying, like, I raised you up well. I raised you up right because you have a heart of gold and you help people and you're doing what your like purpose is and what your soul's called you to do. And she says, nobody's perfect, but you're perfect in my eyes. So she wants you to know. Okay. Well, so this might be a little confusing because of the space of work that you're in, but I also, not leaving mom, but I also was aware of a young man that came through, and I knew that he'd passed very quickly. And when I say young, I feel like he was late teens, early 20s, but it happened very quickly with him. And perhaps this isn't somebody related to you, right? But maybe it's somebody who you worked on or worked with or were aware of in connection with your job. So in other words, it doesn't, I don't feel like this is necessarily somebody really close to you. Would that be correct? Like you don't have a son or a nephew or somebody like that. But like, let me just tell you what I was feeling with him, because it feels like very abrupt passing. I did feel like it was potential drug overdose in the way that he went. Let me see if I can get any more. Yeah, I feel like this is fentanyl. Specifically, do you know of a young man that's passing fentanyl where you had some connection to, I don't know, the case or the person or that instant?
No.
Okay. Interesting. I wonder if maybe he's come for somebody that you know. I'm gonna just kind of table that for a little bit, and I feel like I can come back to him. Okay.
He may be coming because of my brother. He may be a friend of my brother's.
Okay. Very well could be. If he was closely connected with your brother, and would have been around that time, that age, like late teens, early 20s. Okay. Because it feels like very abrupt in his passing. And the thing about fentanyl to me is that a lot of times in my experience with that particular drug and the passing from it is that they weren't always somebody with like a really heavy drug problem or something like that. It was just, they took something and didn't know it was lace. But and that's kind of the feeling with this guy, is that he wasn't like strung out drug addict. He just made a bad decision. Anyway, yeah, so you know for sure that your brother had a friend that passed of drug overdose.
Yes, they were very close.
Okay, that's
what if it was fentanyl? I don't know if it was fentanyl. I know it was a drug.
Yeah.
It was a drug overdose.
That was some time ago, yeah. Okay. I think that's probably what's happening. Okay. There's a name that came up, but I don't know that it's the guy's. Thought like I heard like Kyle or yeah. So I'm not sure on that. I feel like there's maybe a Kyle somewhere close to him. Okay. I want to go back to mom. But yeah, for this guy coming through for your brother, there's just this feeling of clearly they didn't get to say goodbye, and it feels very, very shocking the way that he passed. Like, not this guy, like everybody kind of cocking their heads, like, nah, that can't be right. But that's kind of the way, unfortunately, that it happened. And he does give me this very clear sense that this was accidental. This was not intentional, and so his message to your brother is just that, I'm sorry we didn't get to say goodbye. This was an accident. It was a stupid choice, is the way that he's putting it. Like, I made a bad mistake. And I wonder, did they used to do you know if they used to skateboard together?
don't know that.
Okay, so I get this feeling of like wanting to ride like a half pipe? Just kind of funny. Did your brother ever skateboard?
No, not that I could think of.
Okay, alright, so not sure about that piece, but yeah, they were, there's a feeling of closeness there. Anyway, so I'm gonna kind of throw it back here if I can, if you'll let me go, back over to your mom. Alright. There's also somebody else here who feels family connected, and it's a male, and I feel like he comes on dad's side of the family. And do you understand also the junior? Like, are you a junior, or do you have a son by the same name?
I'm not a junior. I'm got my father's first name.
Okay.
But not a junior.
Dad is in spirit?
No.
Okay, he's here. Because I keep feeling like there's two Josephs. So that, oh, okay. So your grandfather, though, your father's father is in spirit. Because I feel like it's your grandpa that's talking about you and then your dad, like there being sort of a junior. So even though you're not full on like same name, first and middle, being named after your dad makes sense. So perhaps your grandpa's wanting to talk to you and touch on your dad as well. Now you're still in contact with your dad, yeah?
Yes.
Okay. Let me just see. And you did know your grandfather when he was here, didn't you?
Yes.
Okay. So let me just see where he's wanting to go with things. Your grandpa, if I've got the right guy, you know, he comes through loving right now, but he kind of feels like he was kind of a tough guy. Like, that's the way that I feel it. Just feels like he wasn't super gushy and, you know, emotionally like, here, come here, give grandpa a hug. You know, it kind of feels like you knew he loved you, but it wasn't always said, you know. He kind of feels just buttoned up that way. And so it's interesting because he wants to come in and say hello. He wants to send you his love. It does feel he's been on the other side for a while now, hasn't he? But I also wonder, because he's talking to me about teaching you, would it be right that your grandpa used to do some like hobby woodworking?
Not sure on that one.
Okay. You wouldn't remember at his house, like in his garage, having like a workbench out there? Okay. Alright, that's okay, because that's where I see him. I see him kind of in his garage with like a makeshift workbench and showing me like you kind of going. So but you do remember going to Grandma and Grandpa's house?
Never. So I only met Grandpa when he was older.
Yeah.
But I'm getting a different feel.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if you want me to share anything.
Yeah, if it makes sense about somebody else.
So, my stepfather's middle name is Joseph.
Oh.
He passed.
Okay.
And I would be in the garage all the time with him.
Perfect. Thank you. This makes sense because they kept talking about another Joseph. That's why I was like, are you a junior? Like, what's happening? And it felt like dad. So I forgot to tell you in the kind of intro that I don't always get step or adopted or half. They just make me feel like the way that they were to you. So stepdad, Joseph. Okay, perfect. So both your stepdad and your real dad are Joseph?
So my dad is Joseph and my stepdad is Daniel Joseph. So middle name is Joseph.
Got it. Okay, Daniel Joseph. That makes sense. All right. So the name is a theme. But you remember being in the garage with your stepdad and the workbench that was there, and where he feels like he's teaching you. He's kind of like, you're fiddling with stuff, and he's like, here, you do this and you put that together, and you're kind of like learning as you go. And it feels like it kind of feels like a hobby, but it also feels like he really knows what he's doing. You understand that? At first, I think that he probably did do some woodworking, but as I'm like in the garage fiddling with things, I feel metal in my hands. So would you understand him working like with different car parts and stuff like that? Okay, because I felt like I had like a greasy bolt or something. Was he as a hobbyist or as a career into some kind of mechanics?
He as a hobbyist, I would say. Yeah.
Okay. And can I ask about, because I kind of felt this like tough guy, like buttoned up, so is that same, okay, so
Yes.
I didn't have grandpa, I had your stepdad, and I appreciate you saying that. Not that your grandpa's not here, but it's your stepdad that's communicating. Can you understand sort of a very quick way that he leaves the earth? In other words, like this feels to me like it's a health situation, but it feels like it goes fairly quickly.
Yes.
Okay. And also has been some time since
Yes.
he's been on the other side, because I feel he was actually married to your mom at the time of his passing.
Yes.
Because I feel like then when mom was on her own, after he passed, then you really looked after her and did it until her passing. I know though that your mom, she doesn't always need somebody looking after her, because when she's well, she's very independent and she's very resourceful, and she's pretty resilient as well. She wasn't the mourning widow for very long. Like, she really does spring back up and see the brighter side of things, and she tends to run on the optimistic side. Does this make sense about her?
Yes.
Yes and no? Okay. But mostly yes?
Mostly yes.
Okay.
When she's around me, she gets optimistic, yes.
Yeah.
When I'm not around, she's not.
Yeah, it's interesting that you say that, because really I should be more specific. Like, as your mother, you saw her as an optimist. But in the world, maybe that was different. Yeah. Because I get this feeling of just, I know you know this. I know that you would call her, and you would, when she picked up, you could sense a low meh in her voice. And then as you were talking to her, you could, by the time you hung up, she was on cloud 9, you know? She just feels like you could always pick her up. You could always lift her spirits. And I know also you guys are very connected, like emotionally and intuitively, because I know that you could feel when you hadn't called her for a few days, that it was, that kind of depressing for her.
Yes.
But also get this sense that she doesn't want to be a burden on you. So she's not one to say like, why haven't you called me? So but she loves it. She thrives on it. You're her whole world. I know you mentioned your brother, so I don't want to exclude any siblings. But because you're sitting here in front of me, she is really like, you're my whole world. Now you do have it. You have your brother, but you have another sibling as well. Sister?
Yes.
Okay, so you have like a stepsister or a half sister?
It's a half sister.
Half sister. Okay. Okay. I just was looking for other siblings, and I might be missing, but I was seeing a sister in there. Okay. But can you understand being the closest to your mom out of your
Yes.
siblings? Okay, because she really just is zeroing in on you. And I feel like, we were just talking about A-list people, but she's your A-list person, isn't she? Because she's like wanting to stay here and talk, so I'm gonna let her. Yeah, she says, now you guys lived geographically close to each other as well for a while? Not just
Kind
growing
of.
up?
I mean, closer than before.
Okay.
Recently, yeah.
Because I feel like well, you know what it is? I feel like there's like a what we would call like a honey-do list,
Mhm.
but that she had kind of, when she was living independently, that, you know, on her own, she would kind of come up with things that she was going to give to you to
Mhm.
do, because I feel like she says you're her go-to guy. Like,
Mhm.
you come over and you must be very good and handy and like just resourceful yourself, because I know that you kind of come over and you fix all kinds of things around her house and knock off a bunch of to-dos for her. And she's not afraid to ask you, which is really nice. Okay. She does also tell me that she was able to stay in her own home for a really good chunk of time before she couldn't anymore. Does this make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, because it feels like she likes to be at home, she likes to be independent. I think we all do. But then after a while, she couldn't manage alone anymore, you know, so she had to go to the hospital or some sort of facility.
Mhm.
Makes sense. Is there actually a time that she's rushed to the hospital from her house?
Yes.
Okay. And are you there for that?
Yes.
Because I felt like you leapt into action, like you just did what you do best and you mobilized in a time of crisis. And she says it was amazing, like how quickly it just feels like how quickly you leapt into action and you got everything moving to the hospital.
Yes.
And I know that you were scared, but you didn't let your feelings interfere until you got there, until you got her there, and then you could kind of like let everything come. But I feel like you prolonged her life in a way, because you sort of like saved her in that moment somehow. Did you actually do like chest compressions or any kind of like?
I did not. No.
Okay, but somebody came and did
Mhm.
that. Okay, so you called it in, but you called it in time.
Yes.
Because she says like, well, if he wasn't there, I
Yes.
wouldn't have made it. So that's a big thank you to you, because I know that was scary. But she was given the gift of a little more time because of it. All right. Do you understand a Rose or Rosita?
Rose or Rosita?
I don't know why I have Rosita, but I felt like I saw Rose, and then I heard Rosita. You know what I'm wondering? Was your mom Catholic?
We're raised Catholic, yes.
Okay, because sometimes when I hear Rose or like something along those lines, it's a reference to Rosary, which is
Oh wow.
yeah. Which
Oh
is,
wow.
Yeah. Does it make sense?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
it does.
Did you have her Rosary?
So yes, we had a rosary,
Yeah.
that we believed was my stepfather's,
Ah.
and I had taken it the day she passed and put it on her bed.
Yeah. Perfect.
Yes.
Okay, that's what she's going to then.
Yes.
So she wants to say thank you for doing that, because even though she may not have been like a really devout, practicing everyday Catholic, in her final moments, that was comforting. Even if she didn't see it or know it, it was comforting to have that with her.
Mhm.
She's telling me, I took some. She says I took some missteps. I don't know what that means, but she says, but they still let me in. So she's gone to heaven, is what she's saying.
Mhm.
And I don't know what the missteps are. They don't feel egregious, but anyway, she's cute. She wants you to know you did everything right. You did everything right, and you did everything well. And so if there was ever any question about the decisions that were made at the end or how you handled everything, she says you did it all right. I want you to know that. And I'm, again, gonna just sound like a broken record, but I'm so proud of you. And she says, I love you. I love you so much. I do wonder, is her native language different than English?
No.
Okay, so she spoke English. As I was saying, I love you, I also heard te amo, and I was like, where did that come from? So you don't have any Spanish-speaking relatives?
Mm-mm.
Might be somebody speak Spanish as saying I love you. So, all right. Weird. All right. But she says I love you. I feel like I also need to wish happy birthday. So have you actually had a birthday past since mom passed? So mom passed, then you had a birthday?
Yes.
Okay. Because she would never, when she was here and she was well in her right mind, would never ever dream of missing your birthday. That was a big deal to her, you understand?
Mhm.
So and it's only been one that's passed since
Mhm.
she's gone to the other side, because she wants to tell you, and it does feel like it's a little bit ago, but she wants you to know happy birthday. I didn't forget about it.
Mhm.
Okay. You also have on your cell phone should have a voicemail on there that has a voicemail from mom. You have a recording still of her?
It's not a voicemail. I have a video recording.
Okay, that's good. I can take that, because I know I can go to my phone if I'm you, and I can find mom's voice.
Mhm.
That's what it said. That's what I feel like. She's a grandma too, isn't she?
Yes.
Because she wants to acknowledge, and these are your kids she's acknowledging. You have kids of your own?
No.
Okay. So then these would be her, whatever, your siblings' kids, I'm sure.
Mhm.
But, okay, so I kind of skipped over, because she was going to I think it's your wife, and she was wanting to share, like she was wanting to wrap her up in her love. Do you understand this?
Yes.
Okay. Because I also feel like you were the one advocating and you were the one holding her hand, but I feel like your wife was very supportive of you doing all of this. Does
Mhm.
that make sense? And not in any way resentful or like anything. It just feels like she's very supportive and very loving, and like you do what you need to do, and I will hold down the fort.
Yes.
You know, and your mom just really, she doesn't want to miss the opportunity to tell your wife that she cares about her deeply and she loves her, just so that you know. Also, your wife helped with the I want to say funeral, but it's not. I don't know. Funeral doesn't feel quite right, but it's like a remembrance ceremony. But I feel like she helped to put together her end of life memories. And was there like a beautiful little program or card that was made up when your mom passed?
Yes.
Okay. Did your wife help to put that together with the wording or the picture?
I was the one that made it all.
Okay.
But I had went home.
Yeah.
To make it.
Yeah.
And it was actually my husband.
I'm sorry.
It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. I know gender doesn't really transfer over.
It doesn't.
But he was there behind me, like, yes, that looks good, and I was. Yeah, so yes, he helped a bit.
Okay, well, thank you for that. And can I just check? Does he have a little bit more of like an effeminate energy?
Yeah.
Okay, because I was just feeling like a female energy, but so I apologize. For your husband, your spouse, like she just reaches out and wants to wrap her love around him, and I wanted to point to the program, and you must have an eye, because it's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
It just was beautiful the way that it turned out, and I feel like there's a picture, and this was probably pretty common, but this is what she's showing me. There's a picture, and then there's like wording that's going on, and she says, "Thank you for picking a really nice photo of me."
Mm-hmm.
I feel like as I look at it, I'm aware of soft pink, and I don't know that that's the color she's wearing in the photo, but do you remember her preferring that color, like a soft pink color?
She was a girly girl.
Yeah.
She liked girl things.
Yeah.
But the program in which she wore was not pink.
Okay, so it's not on the program,
No.
but she did like those kind of pastels and
Mm-hmm.
like a rose kind of pink color. Okay, perfect. grandkids. Okay. Yeah, she was acknowledging spouse and love, and then I went to grandkids. So. You know, so I wanna highlight. I think it's a granddaughter. Do you have a niece?
No.
Yeah. Is that a yes or
no?
No.
No.
Okay. Boy, I'm really messing up on gender right now. All right, let me see. Do you know if there was a miscarriage or a termination of a child with one of your siblings?
There was none, no.
I can't get past the granddaughter. She's very she's not letting me change it to a grandson. She's on the granddaughter. So, so that's weird. I don't know what to do with that. Just move forward. Move past that. I can't understand it. I was surprised to say, okay, oh. Okay. Oh, this might be your stepdad. Do you, yeah, I'm gonna move. Okay, I can't sort that out. There's something about, coins and then special coins going to grandchildren.
Mm-hmm.
Does it make sense?
The coins do.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because it's but then your stepdad came in on it, and I was like, I don't know if he started this tradition or what exactly is happening. It feels a little muddy. But I saw these special coins going to the grandkids.
Okay. Yeah.
And it felt like, kind of building on that collection was what she was indicating to. And they feel, they feel special, so they feel like silver coins or like silver dollars or something, but it felt like something of value that they could keep and remember her by.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, the coins, it hits big, yes, that's a big
good,
part.
I'm glad I brought it up, because I'm like, I don't know, it's really muddy. And also, you have some of her jewelry too, don't you?
Yes.
Some of her jewelry. Okay. Because she's telling me I wasn't dripping in jewels, but I had a diamond,
Mm-hmm.
And she says, you've got the diamond now. You have the diamond now?
One of the brothers has a diamond now, yes.
Okay, brother has the diamond.
Yes.
Okay. All right. I'll allow that. But I know she's talking about one diamond in particular, and that's being kept safe. But it's kind of weird, because I wonder if your brother has talked to you at all about in a way reworking the diamond into a different piece of jewelry.
There's been some talk about it, yes.
Okay, because it's okay with her if that
Okay.
happens. Because I just don't know if there was resistance from somebody saying well, I don't know if you should change it. But she's saying no, it'd be okay, because the way that it is right now, that my son won't wear it.
Mm-hmm.
He won't wear it that way, but he might, or somebody else might wear it in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
So it's almost like being put into a ring, or like it's being reworked.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Now, I get also a sense of, this is interesting the way she puts it, traveling in honor of mom. So, did you actually have her cremated?
Yes.
And have you thought to spread some ashes in special places?
Yes.
Okay, because she likes this idea. Hope I get this right for her, but it's like traveling in honor of mom. So it's almost like on these trips that you go on, that you can sprinkle a little bit of her with you. Now, had you actually, previous to her getting sick, had you actually brought her on a trip with you and your husband?
saying no. We brought her on a trip. It always talks about it.
It talked about it.
Yeah.
Were you talking about going on a cruise?
This is leading somewhere where I think I know where it's leading.
Okay, I appreciate your intuitive side. That's like, okay, let me follow this thread.
There's definitely travel.
Yeah. For some reason, I feel water.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like, I don't know, it feels like spreading the ashes into the ocean from a boat. That's why I'm like, maybe we're on a cruise. But going somewhere and mom going with you, and it's a little bit hard for me to decipher because it sounds like you didn't do that in life, so maybe she's indicating like she's going with you when you go on this trip to the water. Yeah. You actually were one of the people most involved in taking care of her belongings, packing everything up.
Yes.
Okay, because I see a couple things here. There were some photo albums that you came across as well when you were packing up her home or packing up her things. You know?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
I feel like she had, tell me if this is right, but I feel like I can open up one of these albums and there's baby pictures of you that she had kind of carefully put into a photo album.
Yes.
And I know that's like, well, every mom has it, but like not every mom has it. And also she took a prolific amount of pictures of you. And she's like, cause he was so cute. Like she just couldn't help it. Anyway, so there should be like one fairly thick photo album that just has a bunch of pictures of you. And were you kind of a chunk when you were a baby? Like squishy
a little bit
rolls and stuff? Because she's talking about like you were a healthy boy, like you were a good eater, and you weren't like overweight. But babies, you want them to have that fat, you know. And she says like, oh, she just was so in love with you, and I do feel like that yeah, she tells me like I wasn't perfect, but I was pretty good at the mom part.
Yes.
You understand? And she just makes me feel like she was super protective of you. Like no matter what the circumstances were or where you guys were living, and you did move a couple of times when you were in your younger years to feel kind of like bouncing around, but she's like no matter like what our situation was, I always made sure you had safety, that you were loved, that you had everything that you needed. And even in marrying your stepdad, she was very particular because she wanted to make sure that if she brought you into home with another man, that he was going to be safe for you, you know. And I do feel like he was that. He may have been a little bit like stiff in the upper lip, but he feels like he wasn't abusive or anything. So, and if I'm wrong, you can always holler at me. But that's how she just feels like I'm very protective. You and your siblings are like my whole focus. You're my whole world. Now I know you have a lot of tattoos because I can see them, but I feel like she's talking about a tattoo in her honor, and it's almost like incorporating it into what you already have, in some way, shape, or form. But then I get like a bird visiting, so it's kind of. You understand?
Yes.
It's like this weird thing where it's like tattoo bird.
Yes.
You know? So you get that. I don't fully, but that's how she puts
100%.
it. Okay.
It's to the T.
Yay, thank you. Because that's how she puts it. And it's so funny because I'm like, I don't understand this, but okay, I'm going to roll with it. Yeah, she says, and she just, with the bird visiting, she's fully taking responsibility. This is me. She just wants you to know, I know I'm not here, because she keeps apologizing that she had to leave you so soon. But she wants you to know that she hasn't gone far. That that she is visiting as often as possible. And you really you love music, don't you?
Yes.
It just like moves your soul. And I think that sometimes you just like let it move you, whether it moves you to tears or it moves you to singing or dancing, but you let it move you. And there's something about music that opens your spirit and lets you feel closer to Mom, you know?
I have a playlist that's all of Mom's songs off her phone.
Yeah.
And I listen to it when I want to feel her.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
perfect. Because she's bringing that as like a really good way to
Yeah.
connect, and she feels so close to you in that space as well. It's something for you, and everybody's different in expanding your awareness.
Mm-hmm.
It opens you up and it lets you touch and feel her in a different way. So, she just says, "Don't you ever forget how much I love you." And she really does wrap her arms around your husband too, so it's really important that you know that she cares for both of you. You're both her sons, but obviously you're the center of her world. We've already established that. The other thing is there's a picture you've put up of her in your home since she's passed, isn't there?
Yes.
Okay, I feel like this is, you may have had pictures of Mom before this, but this is new. Like the picture's gone up after she passed, and I feel like you can look at it every day, you know, and almost like it was hard at first, so maybe you didn't do it right away, but now you can see her and kind of talk to her, and she says, "Always talk to me."
Yes.
Please talk to me. Right. You can do no wrong. So you can just do no wrong in my eyes. All right. She also wants you to knock it off. Let me see what you're supposed to knock off. You've been feeling guilty about not having spent as much time with her, or not, like, you know, just like kind of running through that guilt cycle in your head. She's like, knock that off. You were such a good son. You were the best, you know. She just really wants to highlight that, and she says, think of the good times we had. Don't beat yourself up because you didn't call me one day, or because you weren't there, you know, every single day of my life. She just, whatever it is that you're carrying on your heart, she just wants you to knock it off. That's the way that she puts it. So stop that. Think about the happy times. Think about all the beautiful moments that we have and the closeness that we shared. Because she says there's probably no single person on this earth, maybe aside from your husband, who is as close as you and your mom are and were. And she says nothing can break that bond, not even death. So, no, she's okay. I know your grandma's in heaven too, because she says I'm with her mom. So is that right?
No, Grandma's still here.
Okay. Does she have somebody else that she would refer to, like a mother?
She has a sister.
Was she older than her?
Yes.
Okay.
I believe so.
Okay. Okay. Let me, hang on. I don't think that's quite right. Because I heard I'm with Mom. Is your grandma not doing so well?
She's having a hard time with everything.
Since your mom passed?
Yes.
Okay. That's what's happening then, because I heard it, and in your clairaudience, it's hard to get it quite wrong, which is why I was struggling with the granddaughter piece.
Mm-hmm.
She still wants me to sort that out. I don't think I'm going to be able to. Anyway, back to your mom. I'm with Mom, so she's spending a lot of time with Mom too, which makes sense because we were just on the heels of her spending time with you in spirit. So, you know, just so that your grandma knows that she's spending a lot of time around her.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, your grandma, she's pretty devout in her faith, isn't she?
No, I wouldn't say so.
No, because I see her praying. I feel like she's praying for your mom to be okay.
Yeah, she's not religious, but she will pray.
Yeah.
And yes.
Okay. So it doesn't have to be a certain faith, but
Yeah.
she knows how to send out prayers, because I feel like she's just been praying. And sometimes, and we all know this, when you go through something really awful, you know, even if you're not religious, you fall into prayer, because what
Yes.
else are you going to do? It's like, please help. So Yeah, but she just wants to give her peace. Like, Mom, I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm being taken care of. I'm at peace. I'm healthy again. I'm healthy again. She really wants to celebrate that because that body was not easy to be in towards the end. So she wants you to know. All right. Are there any questions that you have for her? I know it's a weird thing to ask. But it's
Yes. Goodness, there's so many of them. So there's some missing items.
Oh no. Okay.
That I want to make sure we didn't leave anywhere,
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Okay. So like maybe through the whole hospital ordeal and.
Just from the house.
Okay.
Because it all went real quickly, and there were certain items that all of us boys were looking for to make sure they were all accounted for, and there was a couple we couldn't find.
Okay.
And that's been a big one.
Can you tell me what items in particular like one of the items?
Jewelry.
Okay. Some jewelry.
It was a bracelet.
All right, let me see what she's got. You guys still have boxes of her belongings?
Yes.
In storage somewhere?
Yes.
Okay, because no, I can't be 100%, but it feels like the bracelet hasn't been separated from her belongings. It feels like it's. You know what it looks like? Is it? I almost feel like it's silver, but I guess it could be gold. It feels like it's in one of those. You know when you have like one of those silver polish, like pocket fold packs, and it looks fabric on the outside, so you wouldn't necessarily know. I mean, like you and I would know, but there's some people that just wouldn't know there's jewelry in there, and it feels like the bracelet's fairly thin and dainty, isn't it? Like
not
too
sure. I've never
chunky.
seen it.
Okay.
I've heard of it.
Yeah.
And I know she didn't own a lot that was valuable.
Yeah.
But there's one item.
And is it like a tennis bracelet that has like alternating stones on it?
I think it's a tennis bracelet, but I'm not too sure.
Okay. Yeah, like when I say tennis bracelet, usually those are, like they've got some sort of, whether it's diamond and ruby, but they've got like little stones, that go across. And but it feels like if you were to take it off, it could almost be, overlooked. I don't think it was stolen. It feels as if it's sort of tucked in the side of a box with some other things where it just would have kind of been thrown in, so that's, in particular with the bracelet, is how I feel about that. Now, what were there was some other jewelry that we were worried about?
Earrings.
Okay. And also like a diamond earring? Yeah. Are you positive that she had both earrings? Because I keep feeling like one got separated from the other.
We don't know.
Okay. This is the way she shows me, is like, it looks like she lost one of them or she had misplaced one of them. It's just usually with earrings you keep them in sets. But they're not huge, so it's almost like it could have dropped underneath something, but there'd been a while where she couldn't find the other one. So it feels as if when she passed, there was really only one known earring. It's weird. Okay. I don't know on that one. I see like a drawer. I wonder do you know if she used to keep her jewelry, some of it in a drawer underneath her sink in her bathroom.
There was jewelry all over the place.
Okay.
A lot of costume jewelry, but yeah.
Yeah, sure, but the more valuable stuff. Because I'm in what seems to be her bathroom, and then I pull out a drawer. There's like one diamond earring in there because the other one's been lost or it's gone missing, and it feels like it got lost. And then it feels like she didn't say anything. She was embarrassed to say that it had been lost. I don't know why. Had they been a gift from your stepdad?
Yes.
Okay, it might have been that because for whatever reason she's embarrassed to say that it's gone missing, or she doesn't want to jinx it or something. I'm not sure, but and then I don't know. I only see the drawer, so I don't know where it went. If like maybe that whole drawer kind of got picked up and put into like a Ziploc baggie, and the one earring kind of fell to the bottom of it. But I would think you guys have probably gone through all that, so I don't know on that one. I'm sorry.
That's fine.
Yeah. Is there any other items?
Her will.
Her will is missing?
No.
Oh, okay. There's questions about the will.
Yes. She listed stepdad as the executor of the will, but they wrote the will a month before he died. So she was obviously under distress. What does she want us to do with everything?
Yeah, that's so tough. Okay. Even though she really played up the fact of you guys being so close, she gives me like a really even kind of slice of the pie for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
She says just divvy it up evenly. Keep the things that are sentimental to you as well. Kind of like, I don't know if I'd say first dibs, but you know, like, because she tells me you're sort of more on the sentimental side. You're not after like all of her diamonds. Not that she had a lot, but you know, and but she says there's equal parts to everybody. And did she have like a silver collection or a coin collection or something like that?
So there was coins that was found, yes.
Because she keeps wanting to like give those to the grandkids, and she's wanting them to be in safekeeping. So whether I don't know if they are old enough to keep them safe or if they need to have a parent do that for them. But just those are for the boys, for the grandkids, and then yeah, it feels like divvy up the things of value in equal parts, and you take what you want that's sentimental to you that you're pretty sure nobody else is going to care too much about, and then let everybody else come in and decide what they want that's sentimental to them. And she says just give the rest away. So anything that you can let go of, just give the rest away. Yeah, because everything's been packed up. So it's mostly the belongings, and then do you have to figure out the house as well, or was that already done?
House? Well, kind of. The house is sold.
Okay. But is it being held in some sort of a?
So I was co-signer on it. So when she died, it became 100% mine.
Got it. Okay.
And I sold the house, and I have the money there. We're just waiting for the tax man to figure out how he wants to rob us.
Okay.
So the house the money is sitting in an account, not being touched, and is going to be divvied up among the brothers in equal parts.
Okay.
Yeah.
That'll make her happy.
Yeah.
That's perfect. And hopefully the taxman doesn't rob you guys.
Yeah.
But you know how they are when you have to pay taxes on a house sale. So, she says, "I'm sorry this wasn't clear. I'm sorry this wasn't clear." Because you know she, like I said before, she she seems to put a lot of mental energy into not wanting to be a burden.
Mm-hmm.
And so this was one of those things where she never wanted you to have to guess at what she wanted. But that's that other point that she brought up earlier, where she said, because she was saying you made a lot of the decisions, the end of life things, and she said you did everything right. So
Mm-hmm.
to this point, you've done everything so well, and she's just sorry for the confusion and for the heartache around trying to figure it all out. But yeah, it's just she's most worried about you just making sure that you get the things that are sentimental to you. Oh, this was the other thing that I found in her house in my mind's eye when we were walking through. She was talking about a perfume, like a perfume bottle that
Mm-hmm.
had her like perfume smell in it.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know? And did you actually get to keep that?
Yes.
Okay, because she's just letting me know that you can smell her in that, and it feels like it's not full. It's been used.
Yes.
But it feels like she let that bottle last a long time.
Yes.
A little goes a long way, she says. So she's glad that you have her perfume. But it's things like that.
Yes, those are the things that I took.
that
Was weird things, and
Yeah.
yeah, so
But that's
that's
her-
to the T.
That's her boy, yeah. That's who you are, and that's what she loves about you, is that you care about those things that remind you of her. So, yeah, she just loves you. She wraps her arms around you, and I know it's hard here without her, but I can tell you with 100% confidence that you're gonna see her again someday.
Mhm.
And hold her in your arms and be able to just nuzzle your head into her neck and smell her again. So, but she's here for you. So don't forget that, and keep that conversation going. Keep talking to me, she says. Keep talking to me, and call me every day if you want. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for coming in.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate it. Tell me your mom's name, will you?
Lori.
Lori.
Yes. You hit a lot of things to the T.
Oh, good. I'm glad. And what's your husband's name?
Charlie.
Oh, I love the name Charlie. I like it for a guy and a girl.
Mm-hmm.
Charlie, that's cute. Okay. So lots of love to Charlie too. And what do you do for work?
So I am a Navy firefighter.
Okay, yeah, I thought that you might be military, but the firefighter came through so powerfully.
Mm-hmm.
So it's okay.
Yeah,
That's
I
very
do
cool.
aircraft firefighting
Yeah.
type thing. So
Well, that's a big deal.
and it was a topic that was brought up during her death was the military training helped me stead focus on everything while everybody else in the world was freaking out.
Yeah, it feels like you just laser focus in all the chaos. Like you thrive in chaos almost,
Mhm.
and it's that's great. It's an uncommon skill.
Yeah,
So I knew you had to have some sort of experience in that way.
yeah. It was
So-
a big thing that everybody said it, and I think that's what I've struggled with the death because I didn't grieve.
Yeah.
I was so focused, and then now it's all over, and I'm like still focused, but I'm not grieving.
Yeah.
And a lot of the things you answered was, did we do everything right
Right.
in the death? It was the right time,
Yeah.
because there was a lot of family members that were, oh, you're giving up on your mother, you're doing this,
Everybody giving you their opinion.
Yes,
Yeah.
and so it really struck a chord with me.
Yeah.
Deep inside, like, did I do the right thing?
You did.
Yes,
According
I
to
know
her.
it. I know I did.
And you have a really strong intuition too.
Mhm.
So I know that you were following that voice inside as well, and just trying to channel what mom would want, and
Mhm.
you did a beautiful job at that.
Mhm.
So good.
But the thing that got me is you held your hands together like that.
Yeah.
There's a picture on my phone of our last moments that I felt I have to take a picture of this.
Oh.
And I felt weird. I was like, why am I taking a picture? Is it for, it's not to put on Instagram for anybody else. It's for
course.
me.
Yeah.
And that's my
To
last
remember.
moment with mom.
Yeah.
And when you did that, it was instant. I just like, yep.
You knew it was your mom. She
Yeah.
was like the first one that came in, and I felt her actually before, like just in my intro. I was like, oh, I feel like mom's here, but I'm gonna give it some time. So yeah, she didn't waste any time to be
Yeah.
here with you. So, well, thank you for coming.
Thank you.
for your service.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. My husband was a